Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Retirement News Weekly. My name is Alba Azizi, and I'm here with my co-host,
Davian Brooks.
Today, we're discussing all things Sundial Lakeview retirement residents, and we're here to address all your burning questions.
Alright guys, so in last week's episode, we interviewed 4 members of Sundial. So if you haven't checked out yet, be sure to check it out. Here's a clip from last week.
It's almost half and half. Do they have the technical ability? Because a lot of the stuff can be learned.
That's true.
But you can't learn compassion. You can't learn patience. You know, those things are just as important here.
Okay, great. Now, without further ado, let's get started. So our first question today comes from Katrina, and her question is, what is Sundial and what is it like working there?
Alright, so Sundial is a retirement home based in Ontario, Canada. It has like 50 employees and over 200 residents, all with the same objective, to create the most comfortable living experience for the residents. Working at Sundial is like working for your family. Everyone is extremely close and takes pride in offering the best care possible. So our second question actually comes from Amika. Her question was, how is Sundial's workplace structured? Who reports to who?
So I can take this one. Sundial is actually structured by function, and some of these functions include dietary, housekeeping, wellness, and maintenance. And all the employees within these functions report to their managers above them, and then those managers report directly to the executive director. So at Sundial, his name's Mike, and he's actually known for being the human encyclopedia.
So why did they call him the human encyclopedia exactly?
Because like an encyclopedia, he just knows everything. Like, you can ask him any questions and he always has the answer. Now, moving on to the next question, which comes from Aisha. She said, what would you say Sundial's main challenges are?
Okay, so funny enough, the thing that employees love most about Sundial is actually upon weakness. At the moment, the family dynamic creates an informal structure that poses some unique challenges. Sundial is unable to operate at full efficiency due to organizational inconsistencies as well as just some unclear boundaries.
And just to add on to your points, looking at these challenges from an organizational viewpoint, there seems to be kind of a lack of alignment and efficient task allocations as employees wear all these different hats. And Sundial believes that everyone's always responsible for everything. And on top of this, the imbalance of power between the members creates these really unclear boundaries for workers.
Alright, so our next question is from Kamisha, who wants to know, what is the one thing you'd like to change with Sundial?
That's actually a really interesting question. I think that many employees would welcome changing the feedback system used at Sundial, as they've mentioned that they're looking for a new source of motivation to kind of take it up to that next level. Even the directors have agreed that they'd like to offer additional incentives to employees as well, so it's definitely worth looking into.
I hear you, Alba. But that's still kind of vague. Like, could you maybe elaborate on that more? Like, what would you do to actually improve Sundial's issue?
Okay, well, I would recommend that Sundial implements an anonymous feedback system. This would combat the discomfort that could be associated with critiquing people that are like family, you don't want to hurt their feelings, while also encouraging formality that's needed to improve the organization overall.
I also think that Sundial would benefit from determining and establishing a clear metric system and including some of these in like the employee handbook, for instance.
That makes a lot of sense. That metric system would really help in evaluating employees and also establish, those clear boundaries that we were talking about before. Do you have any other suggestions on maybe what Sundial could do to navigate their main issue?
Actually, I do. A common theme emerged from the interviews regarding disagreements over appropriate procedures for resident care. I think Sundial would really benefit from administering semi-annual tests to identify those at-risk employees and giving them proper training. This again relates to the formal structure that Sundial is looking to create moving forward.
Okay, great. And our last question comes from Katrina once again. She's eager to find out if Sundial operates in a similar manner to other retirement homes.
Well, first of all, thank you, Katrina. You've been very active on our channel. Thank you. But to answer your question, I think the pandemic has done a great job of exposing a lot of the issues that were already prevalent in retirement homes. Retirement homes are just extremely underfunded, and it's really stressful to work under these conditions. I remember one stat that said about 50% of PSWs don't last longer than 5 years in the healthcare industry. The general sentiment from them is that while they enjoy the work they do, it's very stressful.
And just adding on to what Davian said, in Ontario, there is a regulatory framework in place for all these residential homes. Organizations like Sundial need to be licensed to operate and provide services to vulnerable individuals. And these licenses are provided by the Ontario Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care. So they do have someone that acts as a main regulator.
That's true. But at the same time, I really do wish they did a lot more than they currently do. The issue of COVID has really put out a lot of heartbreaking situations that we didn't know about before. I remember a CBC story saying something along the lines about 85% of Ontario nursing homes are repeatedly abusing residents and are facing no repercussions. I know they're nursing homes and we're like retirement homes, right? But I still would never expect a statistic like that.
Wow, that's heartbreaking. Like, I never thought the regulators would allow for such bad things to happen. And it sounds like a lot needs to be done to manage the retirement sector as a whole. But thankfully, Sundial isn't facing any of these issues at the moment, although I think it's really important to keep an eye on them in the case that they do come up.
Absolutely right. Unfortunately, guys, that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to check out next week's episode where we interview Rivera Retirement Homes. Check out our other content to see all things retirement homes.